Good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of probabilistic learning. Okay, so previously we have talked on so many types of classifiers and regressions. We have talked on k-means classification algorithms. Then there are some statistical stack generalizations and boosting concepts. This type of things we have talked and discussed in our previous classes. Now, today we are going to start the topic of probabilistic learning, right? So, okay. So this probabilistic learning, what is it saying? In our machine learning, actually, a classifier that is able for a prediction, an input was given for an observation, and we have certain set of classes on the basis of some probability distribution, right? This is a term, this is a basic definition of, we can say, probability classifier. So in probabilistic learning, first term that comes, that is probabilistic classifier. So this probabilistic classifier, what it is saying, that it is a type of classifier that is able for a prediction that can be predicted given an observation of an input. So an input for an observation was given, and depending upon that, depending upon the input and the classifier, a probabilistic distribution over the set of classes, a distribution is happening over the set of classes rather than only outputting the most likely class. That's the previous what happened in the classifier, and we can just predict and we can put them into the class. Here the probabilistic distribution over happening on a set of classes. It is happening on a set of classes rather than only outputting the most likely class. So this classifier means the probabilistic classifier provides classification that can be useful when combining classifier into ensembles. Okay, so previously we have some ensembles concept. So this probabilistic classifier is doing a probabilistic distribution over a set of classes given an observation of an input. So this probabilistic classifier are based on totally statistics. So this probabilistic classifier are based on statistical concept. So machine, as it is probability, we have the term probability here. So we know that this probability means it is a term for use for the statistical concept, because in statistics the probability is the most important term, right? So this probabilistic classifier are using the method based on some statistical concept. So the thing is, it is more transparent. We can actually look into the data, give an observation of the data, and we can have a probabilistic distribution over the set of classes, right? So previously, whatever the neural networks and the MLP, multi-layer perception or this type of thing, we have the process. We given the input layer and we are finding out some outputs. But what happened? What is the scenario in between the layers, the hidden layers? We are not actually getting or have a look on that. But in this probabilistic classifier, we can actually look and we can actually see the process. So the thing is called transparent, right? Next, there is one model that is included known as the Gaussian mixture model. So in the part of this, there is a term that is present, that is Gaussian mixture model. So what is this Gaussian mixture model is saying? Suppose we have same type of data, but there is no target levels. Actually, we can say there is no target levels. It is an unlabeled data. We have same type of data, but they are unlabeled. So we know that whenever it is an unlabeled data, it is comes under the part of unsupervised learning. So we can say that this Gaussian mixture model is a part of unsupervised learning, right? Now, this there are some different classes coming from the Gaussian distribution. So Gaussian distribution is a statistical solution. So these classes on the Gaussian mixture model are coming from Gaussian distribution. So this is known, and this distribution is known as the multi-model data. Why it is called multi-model data? As there is one distribution for each different class. So the number of classes are there, more number of classes are there, the distribution is more. So for each class, there is one distribution for each of the different class. So what is the reason that we suppose there are four Gaussian classes, and in each of the four Gaussian classes, there are some four distributions different in segments, right? But we cannot fix one Gaussian to another data, right? Means one Gaussian class to another Gaussian class, because why? Because the classifier or the classes we are predicting here, the data will not match with another classes. The data will not match with another class. So that's why this Gaussian mixture model, the number of distribution for each different class, we cannot fit one Gaussian data to another Gaussian classes actually. So this is why it is different for each of the classes. But what we can do here, that how many classes there are in the data. We have the unlabeled data. So what is happening, that we can actually know, we know how many classes are there in for the data, that so we can try to estimate the parameters for the many Gaussians, right? So this Gaussian mixture and the method, what is the difference, that to try different numbers and see which the works best. So there is a formula for the Gaussian mixture model. The formula is for that we can write like this, that is f function of x, actually it is function of x equals to summation of m equal to 1 to the capital M, means it is the lower bound part and it is the upper bound part. So summation of, wait, so let me write the things. Okay. Summation of m equal to 1 up to the part capital M, right? So this, then alpha m phi, alpha m phi. So I need to write like this, alpha m phi. So alpha m phi, then bracket x then mu m and summation of m, then mu m and then summation of we can say that is M, right? So this is the part where the thing is like this. Okay, so this is a model, or this is the expression for the Gaussian model. Now in this part, in this mathematical expression, which part is resonating what? So this x summation of mu of m comma summation of m means I'm talking about this part. This is actually resonating the Gaussian factor. So this is known as the Gaussian factor, where this mu of m, it is known as the mean. The mu of m, it is known as the mean, and summation of m is known as the covariance matrix. This mu m is known as mean, and this uh, summation of m, it is known as the covariance matrix. Right? So this is the Gaussian factor with the mean of mu m and covariance matrix of summation of m, where there is a part of alpha m that are the weights for the constant from m equal to 1 to capital M. So alpha m is the weight, alpha m are the weights of the constant with summation of m equal to 1 to capital M. So this is the mathematical expression as a part of this Gaussian mixture model, and summation of m, what is denotating, what is the mu m is denoting. We have got a concept here, right? So what is the problem here? The problem is how to choose the weight of alpha m. The main problem in this Gaussian model is to that how to choose the weight of alpha m. So what is how we can do that? The common approach is to m here. The common approach we can actually approach here to choose the weight of alpha m is by the maximum likelihood solution. Maximum likelihood solution to choose the weight. To choose the weight, the best thing we can do is maximum likelihood solutions. So what is this maximum likelihood solution is saying actually? This maximum likelihood solution is that it is a conditional probability of the data given into the model, and this maximum likelihood solution varies the model to maximize the conditional probability. This maximum likelihood model, we have the conditional probability of the given data model, of the data given the model. So we are giving some data to the model on some conditional probability, and this maximum likelihood solution varies the model to maximize the conditional probability. So it is very common to compute the log part, means the log chart actually, to likelihood and to maximize that, and probabilities are at less than 1. Here the probabilities value are all less than 1, right? So this is also known as one more term, or sorry, this very general, or this transmission, this algorithm is used for example of exception transmission, or there is an algorithm that we can use in support of this Gaussian mixture model, that is known as EM algorithm. That is known as EM algorithm. What is the full form of this EM algorithm? That is known as expectation maximization. Expectation maximization. So this expectation maximization algorithm, this is in support of this Gaussian mixture model. What is the basic idea of this EM algorithm? The basic idea of this EM algorithm is that, so suppose sometimes we want to add some extra variables that are not actually known. We don't know that, right? So it is easier to add some extra variables that are not actually known, or we can also call it as hidden or latent variables. So this type of hidden and latent variable we can add as an extra variable into the model so that it can maximize the function over those variables. So the functions can be maximized over those variables, right? But one can say why we need to do that, as it can create a problem or it can make it more complicated. But the thing is, yes, it can make it complicated or it can make a problem, but still you do that, as it turns out for many problems that it makes finding the solution significantly easier. By maximizing the function, we can actually find the solution for some problems significantly easier. To see that how the things actually goes, we will consider the suppose a simple case of Gaussian mixture model, or we can say the combination of two Gaussian mixture model, right? And the assumption here is the sample from the Gaussian. So Gaussian probabilistic model, we are having some assumption. So this probability of picking Gaussian one is suppose P. And so I'm writing here, suppose the probability of picking Gaussian model is P. Suppose it is P, right? And the entire model, we can name it like, we can name the entire model like suppose capital N mu and square. Okay, so I'm writing it. Okay, so suppose this is my entire model. Probability for picking a Gaussian model is P, and this is my entire model. Specifies a Gaussian distribution where it is mean equal to mu and standard deviation is notation by. So the mu is mean, and this is part is called standard deviation. This is for, okay, this is for mean and this is for standard deviation. These two parts are there. I'm writing mean and this is for standard deviation. Okay. Now, if these things are look like this, then what is the formula? What is the algorithm that is actually depending upon that? So, right, so we can say that if the probability distribution of P is written as phi, then the probability density here, what can be the probability density? That is Py, the mathematical expression again, Py equals to phi. Okay, I need to draw this. Then it is phi. Okay, then it is the term, just a minute, y comma, then mu1, standard deviation 1, that is then the bracket close here. Okay, then plus, then bracket again, 1 minus, it is pi, 1 minus pi. Okay, just a minute, I need to close the bracket. One minus pi, and then pi again, then y mu2 and sigma 2, means this part will come again here. So this pi 1 minus y u2 and pi 2. So this particular part will come again here with the value of just 2 mu2 and standard deviation 2. So this is a probabilistic distribution of p that the probability density is known as. Now this finding this maximum likelihood solution here for this problem, a case is we can computing the sum of logarithm of equation over all the training data set, and we are differentiating it. So here we can say that we can introduce a new variable here. We don't know actually which component is each data point came from. So there is, we don't know how the thing is going on here. We are just got the function, the equation, but the data point, where the data point is coming, we are not actually able to identify that. So what we do here, we are introducing some new variable like f, right? So we are introducing a new variable like, we can say, suppose considering it f. Now this f have two values, one is 0 and other is 1. 0 and 1, what is saying that 0, if the value of f is 0, then we are actually assuming that if f is equal to 0 by adding some extra variable. Just we have the concept that we can add some extra variables to maximize the function. So we are adding some extra variable just like f equals to 0, and if f equals to 0, then what is happening, that we can assume that this f equal to 0 data is coming from Gaussian 1, and if f equal to 1, then it is coming from Gaussian 2. So we are actually assuming it. We are actually assuming it to find that if f equal to 0, then it is coming from Gaussian 1. If f equal to 1, then it is coming from Gaussian 2. So this addition of one extra variable is a step or initial step of this EM, expectation maximization algorithm. This is known as a latent variable, or we can say hidden variables. So this hidden or latent variables is helping us to maximize the situation here. Now we have got the function, we have all the things. Now we need to optimize the solution over this, right? So this is called an expectation maximization algorithm by using some random variables into it to maximize the function, to maximize the particular function. Now the next part that comes here, that is known as nearest neighbor methods. That is known as nearest neighbor methods. In this nearest neighbor methods, suppose there is some occasion is going on in your family, in your home. Some family occasion is going on, and the guests that have came, they are enjoying. So you have played some music there, and all the people or whatever who are the guests, they want to dance. Right? Now the thing is that whatever the dance song, suppose you are the controller who was who is actually playing the song. And for that particular song, that is my favorite. So if I'm trying to play a song, so I will play that is my favorite mostly, right? It is basic concept. So I'm trying to play some song, and as I heard those songs, as this is my favorite, so I have some dance move on my mind particularly. So when you are playing that song, you have a vision or you have something in your mind with respect to that particular song, that this is my vision and I can do a dance step on this. Now the thing is, you have a vision on that. It is your vision. But when you are actually trying to play the song within a bunch of people, so what you do, you don't actually do your steps there. You just observe what others are doing. Means what are the scenarios when you playing the song, what others are doing. So what is happening that you have a vision but you can't apply it here because you are playing the song and expected on that. The thing is, the bunch of people who are dancing, what dance step they are actually doing that. You took a close, you took a look on that, and then you decide what steps I can do. So what basically we do, we actually accustomed us with those bunch of people, and then we actually do those things, right? So what is the best thing? Suppose this is person A who is trying to play a song, right? Now suppose this is person B, this is person C, B, this is person C, this is D, this is E, this is F. So these are expected number of people. Okay, suppose there are n number of people are there. So this A is trying to play a song, and when the song is played, what are those bunch of people are doing? First, we need to know. So the person A, is looking at all the steps, and then what we do basically, we actually accustomed us. We actually take a look on the closest person to us and tries to copy them. So here our closest person, who is our closest person, so we can consider F is our closest person. So we actually go for this particular dance step, right? We actually go for this particular dance step, and we are trying to accustom with that. So since this thing is very common, who are actually trying to dance, right? But still, what is happening here, after you have coming in a nearest situation of this particular F person, now you are also trying to look at the things what these persons are doing, what these persons are doing, what these persons are doing, and trying to get accustomed with this all. So this is a nearest neighbor method that we always try to copy what our nearest person is doing. The best example, one of the best example I can give you again, that your exam or offline exam, the physical exam when it is going on, whatever you are writing or you people are trying to copy from somewhere, who are you trying to copy? You are not going to copy from a far to your bench. You are just always tries to copy either from your front or either from your back or either from your right or left. So these are the four situations. So if you are the person A, so whatever the persons you are trying to take a look, that is the person either in your front here, either the person who is sitting your back, either the person is there, either this person is there, right? So you don't go for this particular person who is far from you. So this is the nearest neighbor method that you people are applying in your daily life, in the physical exam if it is happening, if when it was happened last time, right? So this is the concept, a basic concept of nearest neighbor methods. So why I'm trying to explain this? Because If we have some type of unlabeled data and the model, and we don't have any type of model that describes the data. So the best thing what we do, or what the models do actually, it tries to look the closer look on the nearest neighbor data and tries to be the same class as them, tries to accustom the data into the class of the nearest neighbor, right? So this is for the best logic I can think right now for your nearest neighbor method. So we have particular set of data points. So we just need to work out which of the training data are going to be close to it, and we are going to have a look on it, right? So it's almost similar like the previous one. The K means nearest algorithm, also one of the part. So this nearest neighbor method is the basic logic. I have tried to explain the whole in a simple example how we can do that. What is the best case scenario, or how to accustom the data with the similar kind of data points, right? So this nearest neighbor method have a particular process or algorithm that is known as nearest neighbor smoothing algorithm. There are some scenarios or some data points we are trying to predict, and we are trying to put it into the graphs, right? Now this how to find or how to choose the nearest neighbor, how we can choose the nearest neighbor, right? So one can say that by looking at the nearest data point, but no, we cannot judge a particular data point by only just looking. If it is with a vision, if it is looking that yes, it is the nearest, then it may not be the nearest. To calculate the nearest data point with respect to me, what is the best solution? To distance the measure, the measure distance between the two data points. We can actually have a distance measure formula, so that you can actually calculate the values from the data point from my side to that particular data. What is the minimum measurement, what is the minimum distance is there, and that by calculating after all the things, then we are actually deciding what is the nearest data point. And one of the most popular distance measurement calculation formula is known as the Euclidean distance. It is known or termed as Euclidean distance. So this Euclidean distance, this I have some formula saying that suppose this is a point. If I consider this particular as a point, so this point is lying on a plane, right? So if I draw this as a scenario, this point is lying on a plane. So this point have a value of, we can say, x1 and y1. This point have a coordinate of xy, right? And now we are trying to calculate a distance from it. Suppose this is have some particular difference, right? So these also have some values in the plane, suppose known as x1 y1, right? So by this we can calculate, we can have the formula of the Euclidean distance, that is known as x minus x1 whole square, x minus x1 whole square plus y minus y1 whole square, totally the root of. So the formula we can say that is x minus x1 whole square, x minus x1, okay, why it is not writing, okay, x minus x1 whole square, actually I write, plus y minus y1 whole square. So the thing whole square, it can be written like this. So this is the formula for calculating the Euclidean distance from one point to another point, x minus x1 whole square plus y minus y1 whole square. You already have similar type of this equation in your class 11 or 12 where you are trying to calculate some hyperbola or the circle points, calculating the distance. The same formula was also applied here. So this Euclidean distance formula, by using this, we can actually calculate the nearest data point from my data set. So first calculating all the values or all the distance from each of the data points, and then the minimum distance is known as the nearest neighbor data point, right? So up to this particular part, we are going to talk for today. Then in our next classes, we are going to start from a new topic. So up to this particular part, we are going to have a prayer or discussion for today's right now. And all of you kindly write your names in the chat box for the attendance purpose, right? And today I must have been with some less energy in the class as my health is not good. Okay, so if there is any problem or anything you want to know, you can ask me in my later class. I will try to clear your doubts, right? So kindly write your names in the chat box for the attendance purpose. And also your internal exam schedule was given in the groups. Okay, so the questions on the given exams and slots will be there. So if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask Diyash ma'am for the reference, right? So okay, up to this, we are going to talk and discuss. Thank you all. What will be the syllabus for the internal? I will tell in my next class. Okay, not the whole things will be there. So up to which particular part we are going to give in your internal exam, we will say in my next class. Thank you all for joining to the session. Stay safe. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.